I never thought my retirement would kick off with me getting handcuffed on my own front porch by a couple of clowns in fake cop uniforms, all because some neighborhood busybody decided my grass was a national emergency. But hey, that's exactly how it went down in my new digs on Willow Bend Road. I'd just hung up my badge after 25 years on the force, 15 of them in SWAT, and the last 10 as chief in a gritty Midwestern town, dreaming of a quiet life where the only sirens were the birds chirping at dawn. And yeah, this house seemed perfect. Big elms shading the street, lawns like green carpets, folks waving like old friends. But then the red slips started showing up under my wiper blade, bold print screaming about violations. First my lawn a smidge too tall, then my recycling bin out too long after pickup fines piling up like bad karma, signed by this self-appointed queen bee, Susan Whitaker, president of the so-called Willow Bend Homeowners Association. And man, it hit me like a gut punch because I'd seen this before. Power-hungry types twisting rules to lord over good people. And deep down it stirred that old fire in me. The one that says you don't let bullies run roughshod over your castle. It wasn't just annoyance at first. It was this creeping dread, like the peace I'd earned was slipping away. And Susan, oh, she had that smug clipboard strut, eyes like daggers when she'd pause her dog walk to jot notes on my yard, her motive clear as day after I dug a bit. She'd lost her own home years back in a real HOA battle, some foreclosure mess from her ex-husband's debts, and now she was channeling that bitterness into a fake empire, manipulating the block to feel in control, extorting cash from newcomers who didn't know better, preying on the fear of official trouble to line her pockets and stroke her ego. I ignored the first few notices, figuring it'd blow over, big mistake, 'cause they escalated quick. Threats of liens and legal action, words like immediate enforcement that screamed intimidation, and one morning I spotted her grinning from her porch as if daring me to push back, her little yappy terrier barking like an alarm. And that's when the cop in me woke up, whispering that this wasn't about grass or bins. It was about someone hijacking the neighborhood's trust, turning quiet streets into her personal fiefdom. And I couldn't just unpack boxes while she terrorized folks like the elderly widow next door who'd paid hundreds to fix her flower beds, or the young couple across the way who'd moved in scared of her wrath. So I started piecing it together quietly. Drove to the county records office, that musty old hall smelling of yellowed paper and forgotten disputes, asked the clerk for any trace of this HOA, and she squinted at her screen, typed variations, then shook her head with a wry smile. Nothing, hun. No filings. No covenants, zilch since the 70s zoning, and handed me certified docs proving it was all smoke. But that lit a spark. Susan wasn't just nitpicky. She was committing fraud, a shadow racket born from her grudge against real systems that had burned her, and I needed to expose it deep. Called my old lieutenant, Sarah Lopez, sharp as a tack, dry wit that could cut glass, and had her run a discreet background. Turns out Susan had priors for check fraud in another state, shell companies funneling small-time scams, associates including a couple of low-rent actors she'd hired for muscle, all tied to her need for dominance after her messy divorce left her scraping by in rentals until she invented this HOA gig to reclaim some twisted sense of power. I rigged my place like a stakeout. Tiny cams on the eaves, a button mic on my shirt, a panic ring that'd ping Sarah with live feeds, and looped-in neighbors. Hank from across the street, that burly guy always fiddling with his grill, laughed when I asked him to film any drama. That witch fined me for my barbecue smoke once. Count me in, Chief. And the Millers, that sweet family with the toddler, hesitant but nodding 'cause Susan'd harassed them over their swing set. Her motive there, petty jealousy over their happy home life mirroring what she'd lost. The trap was set, and I let her escalate, crumpled her latest $600 demand for non-compliance, and waited, heart pounding like before a raid. That mix of calm and adrenaline where you know justice is brewing, but the wait's a killer. Sure enough, mid-morning a black SUV rolls up, no plates I recognize, and out step two goofs in knockoff uniforms, badges shiny but wrong font, belts too new, with Susan trailing, clipboard like a shield, pointing at my door like she's directing traffic. They pound, not knock, pound, and I open up casual. Yeah, can I help ya? The big one puffs up. Jack Harlan? Warrant for your arrest defying community bylaws, waving a forgery so bad it named a judge who'd retired a decade ago, charges like civic disobedience. That'd make a real cop snort. Susan steps in, eyes gleaming with that vengeful triumph. You were warned, mister. Harlan, We don't abide rule breakers here. Now comply or we'll make it hurt. Her voice dripping moxie from years of getting away with it. Motive raw. She saw me as the threat, the ex-cop who might unravel her web, especially after I'd waved off her first notice like it was junk mail, bruising her fragile control. I play along, hands up. No trouble, folks, letting them cuff me rough, the metal biting just enough to sell it, and as they perp walk me down the drive, neighbors' curtains twitching, phones out, I flash Susan a tiny smile, the kind that says, "Gotcha," and she snaps, face twisting. "Wipe that smirk off, you're done here." Pure rage, her empire cracking. In the SUV, they chuckle up front, the weaselly one twisting back. "Should have paid up, old-timer. Now we know where you live. Forget this or else." Threats spilling like confetti, all recorded crystal clear. And I palm that GPS tracker onto the bumper during a fake stumble, heart racing. 'Cause this was it. Her scam exposed in real time, born from her loneliness and greed, twisting community into cash cow. Miles out in an empty lot, they think they've won. But my team's closing. Sarah coordinating shadows, Mike Travers in his truck blocking lanes, and bam, brakes squeal. Vehicles box him in, shouts erupt. "Police! Hands up!" The goons freeze, faces paling as real tack gear swarms, Mike's voice booming, "Show me those hands now!" And they crumple, blubbering excuses while I step free, rubbing wrists, the shift electric from prey to predator. We tore that SUV apart, stacks of red notices, fake badges, cash bundles with addresses, a burner phone pinging straight to Susan and warrants flew. Her storage unit a gold mine of forgeries, victim files from half the county, ledgers showing she'd bilked thousands from scared seniors and families. Her motive layered now. Not just revenge, but a full-blown addiction to the rush of control, hiding profits in LLCs to fund her isolated life. The raid on her board meeting in her garage, her with two scared flunkies, ranting about my disappearance. We burst in, "Police! Freeze!" And she shrieks, shoves a table, bolts for the door, but Mike pins her gentle but firm, her kicking and spitting. "I'm the president! You can't touch me!" And I cuff her myself, voice steady. "Susan Whitaker, you're under arrest for extortion, fraud, the works game's over." Her eyes blazing hatred as neighbors gawk from porches, the blue lights painting her fall like a movie climax, that sweet hollowness in her glare as the door slams, her empire dust. A month on, court's hammer fell hard. 12 years federal for her. Pleas from the goons flipping details. Restitution flowing back. Folks getting refunds, liens lifted, even copycats in nearby burbs crumbling under the spotlight. Willow Ben's breathing easy now, Hank barbecuing without fines, the Miller's kid swinging free, and me? Sipping coffee on the porch, Grandpa's photo on the mantel reminding me real orders about protecting folks, not power trips. But here's the twist that nags. Was Susan just a monster? Or a broken soul the system failed first? Her scam's a cry from that old loss. Makes you wonder if communities breed these tyrants, or if we all got a bit of bully waiting if pushed. What do you think? Ever dealt with a neighborhood nightmare like this? Drop a comment, share your story. Was I right to go full sting, or should folks just move on? Hit like if justice tastes sweet, subscribe for more Real Talk tales. Let's chat.